In this one, I'm going to show you how to use one of the most finicky support gems in Path of Exile. Not only is it quite difficult to use, but it also has one of the biggest drawbacks if you get it wrong, and that is that it gives you absolutely nothing in return. Get it right, however, and you'll get loads of damage and elemental penetration. It's actually so good that 12% of builds are using it this league. I am of course talking about Trinity. No, not that one, this one. Let's get right to it. Trinity Support reads as follows. Support skills that hit enemies, causing them to gain bonuses while you have resonance of all 3 elements, and to grant resonance of elements other than the highest one in a hit. There is a maximum of 50 resonance for each element. Cannot support triggered skills, instant skills, orb skills, brands, skills which reserve mana, or skills used by totems, traps or mines. Now that's an awfully long list of things that you can't use this on. So what could you use it on? Well, basically any attack or spell that you cast yourself that isn't mentioned in the above list. And as I mentioned earlier, it will only work under very specific conditions. The first condition is that the skill must deal its highest proportion of damage as elemental. If the highest component of damage is overtaken by physical or chaos, then the gem will do absolutely nothing and you'll get no indicator at the top left of the screen. The second condition is that subsequent hits must also deal the highest damage hit elemental, but also a different element. If the same element is always the highest hit, then you'll just fill 2 of the bars on the indicator. Now you may be forgiven for thinking this is actually working. It isn't. The segment that isn't lit up indicates that you have 0 resonance for one of the elements, and your more elemental damage bonus only applies to the lowest resonance. Furthermore, if you want the penetration bonus, which you absolutely do because it's enormous, you'd need at least 4 nodes on the tree to get anywhere close to that for all elements, and it's likely, depending on where you are, going to be closer to 9. For this, you're going to need all indicator bars to be at least half full. So let's zoom in on the indicator now and let's talk through the damage hits you're going to have to do to make this work. But first, let's go around each of the segments of the indicator and tell you what each one does. Top right is fire, the bottom of the indicator is cold, and top left is lightning. So let's say on our first hit we hit really hard with lightning. Our fire and cold indicators now fill up to halfway because they've got 25 resonance each. We then do our highest hit being fire. This causes the lightning indicator to fill halfway and the cold indicator to fill to full because it now has 50 resonance. So now after we've done 2 hits, we have at least 25 resonance in 2 of the sections and 50 in another. That means our lowest resonance is 25 and we get 15% more multiplier. Also, because we have 25 in each segment, we get the full penetration bonus. If our third hit has the strongest damage as cold, and it's been done within the same second, then we will have full indicators on all bars. Now that's not to say that you need to do damage of all 3 in order to get the bars up. 2 will work just fine, it will just take 1 extra hit. Now if within the next second we only do our highest hit as lightning, we will stop gaining lightning resonance, and it will start to fall at a rate of 5 resonance per second. Now if your build hits really slowly, it may not be optimal for Trinity because you will keep losing resonance, which means you'll never reach maximum potential. When you're assessing how effectively this is working, make sure you do that as you're fighting single target. If you're going to assess this in a clear scenario, then you may be hitting multiple monsters with the same hit, all with different damage levels, which means you could get multiple resonance off the same hit. And where you do really want the power of the support is in single target scenarios. You'd be forgiven for thinking that this skill only works really with Wild Strike and Elemental Hit, where each hit gets a different damage type, and you'll never get the same damage twice in a row. But this isn't actually true, and it works really well on some of the skills. This is because the damage in Path of Exile is always in a range. If you've enjoyed this video, then please tickle that like button, it'll like it a lot. Let's take a look at this Spectral Helix I've been building. At base it does 1850 to 3687 fire damage, 951 to around 12,170 lightning damage, and 2018 to 3,469 cold damage. And here's a candlestick graph that I prepared earlier. As you can see from this graph, I'm far more likely to hit a really high lightning damage number than I am for cold or fire. That said, lightning's also got a good chance of hitting the lower range as well. Where the candles block out, anything hitting within these ranges will have a chance of stomping each other, and therefore becoming the highest damage type. On a skill that hits monsters frequently and has a chance to crit, this works extremely well, better than you'd actually think it would. Even if you get this skill working optimally, it's really easy to break it by accident. Say for instance I really wanted the mastery that gives you non-critical hits with lightning damage a lucky. This would give me a lot higher chance of gaining a high lightning damage roll, and so it can completely brick the build. You must think carefully about each choice. That said, there are several ways that you can fix this in the event that you did break it. The first way is to use an elemental aura or herald to bring up one of the numbers that's too low to actually get hit. You can also swap one of your auras to a different one if one's getting too high. If you don't have enough space for those auras, then something else you can do is damage conversion from physical to elemental. If you're really struggling, then you could go for a divergent version of this gem. This gives you up to 10% of your physical damage as damage as a random element, giving you a much higher chance of getting a spike on one of the damage types. The standard superior gem gives us up to 10% increased elemental damage, and the one that I have least use for is anomalous, which gives us up to 5% chance to freeze, shock and ignite. Did you already know how this support gem worked, or were you as lost as I was when I first tried to use it? Let me know in the comments below. If you've been struggling with Death this League, then check out this video top left, which is going to show you my top 10 tips for not dying. And with that, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.